It reminds me of how fine some of these nuances are. For example, on one hand, cannabis can help inspire a greater sense of empathy if the dose is a little off, though, or a little, if you take too much, instead of empathy, you might get more inflection and focusing more on yourself instead of the other person. Or instead of hyper focus, you might get mind racing, which so you and I think it really goes back to the biphasic nature of cannabis, where you have a certain dosage window, and once you exceed it, the cannabis does the opposite of what you want it to do. And obviously, the more regularly you're exceeding it, the deeper you get into the undesired side effects.
Yes, and I think it's important to understand that's a general point I make about altered states of consciousness. Altered states of consciousness are part of who we are. Our brain modulates consciousness itself to fall asleep. What is sleep? Sleep is a trip. Sleep is, a real mental trip, and it does it every night. And we need altered states of consciousness in our lives, and that's part of our nature. Ecstasy, trance states during dance that we induce. I have a 2-year-old daughter. She swirls around. She started to do that when she was 1.5. Observe kids. That's one of the first things they're doing to alter their minds, to get that kind of dizziness and to, get in an altered state of mind. But so altered states of consciousness are part of our lives. Very often we don't see it, we don't talk about it, because we reconstruct our nature, our existence from our wakeful state, where we're like trying to understand how it is. But that's who we are. We sleep, we dream, we are in ecstasy, we have orgasms, and they make a lot of the meaning of our lives. But we need to be able to include and integrate those states in our lives. If I have an orgasm while I'm driving on the Autobahn, it's just not a good idea. It's just not. Might be really a bad idea. So that's a very simple, and everybody's like, it's a very simple point, but that's the same thing with cannabis. You mentioned mind racing. Is mind racing a negative thing? Yeah, well, for some it is, and it might be. I have both. I've had it, and I have mixed feelings about it, because sometimes you feel like, whoa, man, I can't pin down my, I'm running after a train of thoughts, and I can't jump on it, so I'm kind of losing everything. But sometimes mind racing leads to a lot of great, to kind of a brainstorm where you end up with an idea that's spot on, interesting. And but mind racing is very often leads to a certain dysfunctionality in your thinking, where you shouldn't be in a certain situation. If you're on the street, if you're walking on the street, or if you're at a party and you're mind racing, you overdose too much, that might not work. It might work for you sitting on the sofa trying to spin out, like what I said, doing a deep dive for a book.
Yeah.